They say the night is always darkest before dawn. However, the dawn is inevitable. The sun rises, bleaching the blue sky with an orange hue and casting brilliant beams across the horizon. The chirping of birds and the scurrying of life add to this grand entrance. They appear to be responding to the majestic call of this golden ball in the sky, signifying Helios, the sun god from Greek mythology. So in today's video, we'll discuss God, who lights up the world like nobody else. Helios represented hope and the arrival of something great to many because the sun constantly rose when everything looked at its lowest. However, Helios also expressed anger and fury because the same orb that gave people life also burnt them to death. Being the sun deity, he had his fair share of representation in Greek mythology, as you shall see. Moreover, his status in the Greek pantheon is enhanced by the fact that he is the son of a Greek titan. Helios is the most well-known sun deity in other pantheons. This is mainly owing to his appearance in many stories and pop cultural references, thus the Greek sun deity and his time in the spotlight in the ancient world. Furthermore, Helios's power over the sun meant he had command over the same source that permitted life to develop. As a result, his appearance was both admired and feared. Though his appearance is frequently distinguished from the sun in certain stories, he is best described as the sun himself. Thus, Helios adopts all of the features of the solar body and refracts its forces accordingly. Helios's parents were Theia, the Titan goddess of light, and Hyperion, the Greek titan of heavenly light. Before the Olympians took over, these earlier pantheons of gods ruled the ancient Greeks. This happened after Uranus's manhood was severed by the mad titan Cronus and cast into the water. Hyperion was one of the 4 titans who helped Cronus in his effort to overthrow Uranus. As a result, he and his titan brothers were made the pillars between heaven and earth, giving them the most divine powers to flex on the mortals. During those tiring days of working overtime to make sure that the entire balance of the cosmos didn't fall, Hyperion met the love of his life, Theia. The cerulean lover gave him 3 offspring, Eos the dawn, Selene the moon, and our adored main character, Helios the sun. Helios must have sought to build on his father's business of managing celestial light. However, due to his pre-existing condition, Helios transformed into the sun and set out to warm the beautiful gold beaches of Earth. So, Helios was a titan. How did he survive the 10-year-long battle between the titans and Olympians? Helios was the sole titan who escaped unhurt because he refused to pick a side and fight the Olympians. Following it, the Olympians thanked his assistance and agreed to keep him as the embodiment of the sun when the Titanomachy ended. This, of course, worked out well for him. Helios reverted to his former personality, flying across the sky during the day, riding the sun chariot, and sailing the planet's waters at night. However, when the Titanomachy had finally ended, Helios arrived late to the spectacle and missed the great division by a couple of minutes. Helios became depressed since he would not be awarded any territory. However, Zeus didn't want the sun to be unhappy, as it would bring months of rainy days, so he volunteered to reenact the division. On the other side, Helios noticed a huge new island growing from the sea called Rhodes that he'd love to tame cattle on. So Zeus granted his desire and bound Rhodes to Helios for all time. After being blessed by Athena, Rhodes quickly became a fertile ground for generating magnificent art. She accomplished this as a reward for Helios's instruction to the inhabitants of Rhodes to build an altar in her honor. This also became the place where Helios is obsessively idolized. Helios was a snitch in addition to being the sun god. The fact that Aphrodite was married to Hephaestus was the cause of everything. So naturally, any relationship outside their marriage would be considered disloyal. But Aphrodite was enraged by Hephaestus, since he was the most repulsive deity in the Greek pantheon, and hence she sought various forms of pleasure before settling on Ares, the god of war. Observing everything from his sunny house, Helios became enraged and decided to inform Hephaestus of the situation. Hephaestus then created a narrow net and subsequently caught them in the act, leaving them to be humiliated in public by the other gods. This incident forced Aphrodite to take a grudge against Helios and his entire race. On the other hand, Ares was enraged because Alectryon, the guy who was supposed to let him know when the sun rose, had failed to protect the entryway, allowing Helios to enter. So he did what was natural and transformed the young guy into a rooster. So now you know why the rooster crows when the sun is about to rise every dawn. And when he is not the sun god or a snitch, Helios works part-time at a cattle farm. On the island of Thrinacia, the sun god tamed his sacred herd of sheep and cows in his spare time. But hold your horses! Even this has a more profound significance. The total number of sheep and cows was 350, indicating the total number of days in a year according to the ancient Greek calendar. These animals were separated into 7 herds, one for each day of the week. Furthermore, these cows and sheep were never bred and were completely deathless. This feature contributed to their immortal status and represented the notion that the number of days would stay constant throughout all eras. It is said that once, the sun god had hidden away a couple of his sheep in a safe sanctuary in Apollonia. He had also sent a human named Pythias to keep an eye on the creatures. Unfortunately, a wolf assault sent the sheep right down their ravenous tummies. The people of Apollonia banded together against Pythias. They shifted the blame on him, gouging his eyes out in the process. This infuriated Helios, and as a response, he dried up the grounds of Apollonia, preventing its residents from reaping any harvests. Unfortunately, they made amends by gifting Pythias a new home, thus pleasing the sun god. Helios loved his animals so much that when Odysseus camped at Circe's island, an enchantress warned him not to touch Helios' sheep when he passed by the island of Thrinacia. He was told that if Odysseus ventured to touch the livestock, Helios would go all out to stop him from returning home with all his power. However, when Odysseus finally arrived at Thrinacia, he ran low on provisions and committed the worst mistake of his life. He and his men murdered the sun's sheep in the hopes of devouring it, which triggered the sun god's fierce rage. The sheep transformed into Helios in a moment and headed directly to Zeus. He told them that if he did nothing to stop this blasphemy, he would go to Hades and offer light for people in the underworld rather than those above. Scared by Helios' ominous caution and pledged to remove the sun, Zeus unleashed a raging thunderbolt on Odysseus' ship, killing everyone but Odysseus. One thing is clear: no one messes with Helios' cattle. No one. Besides being the local hotshot sun god and animal lover in the pantheon of Greek gods, Helios also dominates over other aspects of the modern world. The element helium was named after him, which is predicted to make up around 5% of the visible cosmos. Thus, it is no surprise that Helios is one of the most well-known Greek gods, all the while being someone that even Zeus himself greatly respects. As a result, he remains one of the most prominent talking points of old mythology. So, that was it for the god who shines the brightest. Let us know your feelings about this god in the comment box below.